Good evening, everybody. It is 7:02 Sunday, the 18th. I am Seth Eisenberg, and this is the Conservative Corner. If you were just with us and it geeked out on you, we were having some issues. It said we couldn't go live, but hopefully that's all fixed. The Wizard of Oz, Damon took care of that, so I think we're good to go. But if that happened and you're back, I apologize. It was kind of annoying. Um, so yeah, I hope you had a good week. Had a good weekend. Weekends are too short. You work 5 days, you get 2 days off. It's a slap in the face. But hey, take what you can get. So I hope you had a good weekend. Hope you got to hang out, do what you wanted to do, spend time with your family, and back to the grind tomorrow. So there's that. If you're here for the first time, thanks for hanging out. If you've been here before, you must be a glutton for punishment, and I don't know what to tell you. They have medication for that, I think. I'm kidding. Thank you for hanging out again. But yeah, I want to go through the breaking news, and then I want to kind of talk to you about what we're going to do for the rest of the show, because it's going to be a little different than normal. And I'll explain all that once we get past the breaking and interesting news, and it'll make sense to you when I explain why. So we'll get right into it. The Supreme Court of the United States is signaling support to continue the state's ban on transgender athletes. And what that means is if you're on your birth certificate, it says male, you will not be allowed to participate in female sports. And if you're a female, you won't be allowed to participate in men's sports, which I would think to me would be a no-brainer. But too many woke idiots out there think that women can compete with men, like women boxers could fight male boxers or play male football. And it's not a knock on women. Men are built differently. And women can't compete with men in general. There are always an exception to the rule. There are women out there that are stronger than men. I'm not saying they're not. I'm saying in general, women cannot compete with men. It's like take the top female boxer, whomever that may be, and put her in the ring with Mike Tyson in his prime. He would literally kill her. He would kill her. There was a transgender woman. I don't know what it is. It's a guy who thought he was a woman, fought in UFC against women. And in his first fight, he fractured the skull of the woman he was fighting. She was in the hospital. He almost killed her. And then there are people, the women out there will claim they'll be feminists, and they'll stand up for that. They'll stand up for men abusing women to the point where they fracture their skull in a UFC match. Phelan Fox, I think is the person's name. I don't know if transgender woman or transgender man, whoever it is, the mentally ill person that wants to beat up on women, literally fractured his opponent's skull in like the first round. And then feminists will say that's yay women, but that's not a woman, that's a man beating on women. So yeah, the Supreme Court looks like they're going to go ahead and support that, which is good. Women deserve their own space. They deserve to have their own sports. They deserve to compete against other natural biological women. What people don't understand is if transgender women or men who think they're women participate in women's sports, they also can take women's scholarships. Because some colleges are just as stupid as those people and will give them to men who claim to be women. So they're taking scholarships away from women. And I've asked before, and I'll ask again, if there's any feminists out there that wants to come on the show and explain to me how that's supporting women, I will gladly have that person on the show and we can discuss it. But you're not going to convince me that a man pretending to be a woman, taking a scholarship away from a biological woman, is somehow empowering women. You'll never convince me that, but I'd like to hear your side. If I were one of these woke morons, I would try to talk my son into playing female sports because he's a beast and he would get a scholarship. He would be able to go to a Division IV school in women's sports if he said, "Hey, my name is now Rochelle." But that's not fair. That's not fair to women. And the vice versa, women that go into men. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up. Not many women pretend to be men to play men's sports. That should kind of answer that whole question. Well, if it's fair, why don't they do it? Because they realize they can't compete against men. And again, there's an exception to the rule every time. I'm not saying there are women that can't compete against men. I'm saying if you take 100 women and 100 men, 99 of those men can beat 99 of those women in whatever sport they're playing. There'll be that one woman that can beat the man. I'm not saying there is. And maybe the odds are a little bit better than that. Maybe 98. I don't know, but it's not much more than that. And I'm not knocking women. I'm supporting women. They need their own sports. They need to be able to participate with other women where it's fair, an equal and level playing field. I mean, can you imagine who's a, like, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers playing football on a female football team? He would dominate. Well, Aaron Rodgers is probably a bad example. Um, but you get what I'm saying. And I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so yeah, I'm making fun of Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Choke. But yeah, I hope they support it, and I hope this is the end of it. I don't think men should be in women's locker rooms changing. I don't think women need to be in men's locker rooms changing. I don't think any of that's appropriate or sane. I don't think girls in high school want guys in their locker room changing. That's a weird age as it is. And now you throw a guy into the locker room with these women or girls and they're supposed to be okay with it. No, I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's right. I think it's a sign of a mental illness. I think if you honestly believe you're in the wrong body, you need to seek professional help. I really do. And I think out of all the millions of people that think they're in the wrong body, I think like 1% of 1% of 1% actually are probably correct. Like hermaphrodites or people like that, which is like 1% of 1% of 1% of all births. It's extremely rare. So yeah, I don't think it's right. I don't think it should be condoned. I think parents who push it aren't really parents. They're friends to the children. They just want to be the most woke person on the PTA. Well, look at my son. He thinks he's a girl. We're going to fight for his right to play on the girls lacrosse team or the girls field hockey team. They don't care that they're hurting actual women. They just want to make sure that everybody knows that they're for trans rights. You know what? I hope this gets put. Once the Supreme Court rules on it, that's it. End of discussion. It can't be brought up in court again. It can't be challenged again. That will be the law of the land, and that will be the end of it. I'm sure some schools will challenge it, and they will get smacked down immediately. They'll lose federal funding. They'll lose all sorts of things because they'll be in contempt of the Supreme Court, and that's not where you want to be. So there will always be some idiot holdouts that think that's you're transphobic and you're homophobic, whatever phobic they'll attach to it, and it doesn't matter at that point. It's the law of the land. End of discussion. If trans athletes want to play in other sports and have girls sports, boys sports, transgender sports, have different teams. That way everybody can play on the team they want to play on, and it's all fair. But then they say you're playing, well, now we're equal but separate. You know what? You have a mental illness. Nothing we say to you is going to make sense. Nothing we say to you is going to be logical. Nothing we say to you unless we acquiesce to your mental illness and say, yeah, you're right. You're a woman. You were born in the wrong body. You can go play girl sports. Unless we agree with that, we're going to be wrong. 99.9% of the world will be wrong unless you agree with them. So let's hope the Supreme Court does support the ban on transgender sports, and that will be the end of it. And again, if you're a feminist, you have to agree with it. You can't say, well, transgender women are women too. No, they're not. They are not. Just because you call a dog a bird doesn't mean it can fly. And just because you call a guy a girl doesn't make it so. People need to grow up and stop living in fantasy land and come join all of us in reality. You have a penis, you're a guy. You have a vagina, you're a girl. If you whack off your penis because you want to become a guy, you're a stupid guy. But you're still a guy. It's like every week you have to explain to adults how biology works. There's 47 genders. You know what? I'll give you that. There's probably 5,000 genders. But genders and sex are two different things. You can be an effeminate male or a masculine woman. Your gender is how you act and how you act towards people. I can be a man and be very feminine. Doesn't change the fact that I'm still a male. I am still a male. I just am very effeminate. And you've all met women that are butchy. Still a woman. She can act like a guy, hang with the guys, drink with the guys, do whatever she wants to do with the guys. But at the end of the day, she's a woman. That you can't change that. You know how many drugs you take or whatever you cut off your body or whatever you say, whatever clothes you wear will not change the fact that what your sex is. You were born that sex. That is it. We need to stop feeding people or feeding into these mental delusions these people have. And what do I mean by that? Let's say my son comes home with a broken arm and the bone is sticking out, obviously broken. And he says, no, it's not broken. It's just sprained. And I go, you know what? You're right. You're fine. Let's just go about our day. That's what people sound like when they tell a transgender person that, yes, you're in the wrong body, your sex is what you want it to be. A person with intelligence would go, no, your arm is broken, man. We need to get you to the hospital. There's something wrong. We need to get it fixed. Let's go. That's what you should tell somebody, your children or your friend or whoever it is that says, look, I know I'm a man, but I'm really a woman and I want to be called a woman from now. You need to get that person help. That is not normal. There's something obviously wrong with that person mentally. They need help. There's no difference between a broken brain and a broken arm. They both need to be treated by professionals. And if you feed into it and you enable it, you're making the injury worse. You're making them worse than they were when they first came to you. Bring them to somebody who does that for a living, to a psychiatrist, a doctor, a social worker, anybody that can talk to them and is trained in that and can get through to them and let them know that, no, you're not in the wrong body. You have a mental illness and we can help you with that. We can work through this together. Just like with the broken arm, we can reset your arm and your arm will be fine. It's not permanent. We'll get through this together. There's nothing wrong. That's love. When you tell somebody, no, you're wrong, and I'm going to help you figure out why you're wrong, but let's get you fixed. As opposed to, no, you're right. Your arm's not broken. That's not a bone sticking out of it. Go back out and do what you were doing. That's not love. I don't give a shit. I don't care about you. I don't care about enough about you to argue with you and tell you that you're wrong. If that's what you want to believe, you go right ahead. You live that delusion and I'll back it up because I don't care. I don't care enough about you as a human being to try to help you or correct the issue. I'm going to let you live the way you want to live because you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't affect me. So that's what it's going to amount to. Broken arm, ignoring the broken arm, saying I'm a woman when you're not a woman and just going, okay, don't play along. You don't have to be rude about it. You don't have to be aggressive about it. It's like when you deal with an alcoholic, you tell them, hey, look, you have a drinking problem. We need to get you help. This is going to kill you or this is not going to end up well for you. Same thing with trans people. You have a problem. I want to get you help. Let's talk to somebody. I'll go with you. I will drive you. I'll do whatever you need me to do to help you get through this. But we need to work on this. This is not normal. And everybody who's screaming and yelling at you, telling you you're a transphobe or you're a whatever, bigot or homophobe, whatever they call you, ignore them. Those people are evil. Those people are suckers and they are sheep. They don't care about the person you're talking to. They care more about themselves. They want to look like they're woke. They want to be the coolest people on the block by supporting trans people. Not caring that it's destroying that person's life. They don't care about that. They don't care about them. It's about how they are perceived by the community. Mr. and Mrs. Jones are pro-trans. They're helping all the trans people they can find. They don't care about the trans people. They care about themselves. So ignore those people. You do you and you help the people or attempt to help them. You can bring a horse to water. You can't make it drink. Can't force people to get help if they don't want help. But try to be that voice of reason in their life. That's all you got to do is like, hey, Mike, I think I'm a woman. I want you to start calling me Pauline. Paul, you're going through something. Obviously, you have a problem. You're not a woman. I'm not a professional. I can't talk to you about this, but I will help you find help. Let's get you somewhere to talk to somebody. That's all you got to do. And if they go, no, screw you, you're a transphobe. You tried. You did your best. There's nothing else you can do except be there to support them when they finally come to the realization that, hey, I'm really crazy. I've got a severe mental problem. I need help. Hopefully that will occur before they start whacking off body parts. But that's all you can do for people like that. You can't force them to get help. This idiot, let me get his name. Khalid. It is, I found his name. It's Khalid. Let me find it. That's not it. That's not it. Not it. I had it. There we go. His name is Muhammad Kalal. He's the one that was going to colleges and talking about the anti-Semite, anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine activists that we arrested, we're going to deport. And then some court said, no, you can't do that. It's a violation of his First Amendment. And then they were like, well, no, it's not because he's here on a visa. We can revoke his visa. That's legal. Then it went back to court and they said, no, you can't. You have to have just cause, blah, 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 blah. Well, finally, it's been handed down that the court that said he could not be deported was completely wrong, that they had no jurisdiction over that, and that the Trump administration can continue the process of having him deported to a country of his choosing. That's great. The guy is trash. He was fighting Jewish students, wouldn't let Jewish students go into school, into their classes in colleges, organizing stuff like that. He is trash and should be treated as such. Um, so when they find out when they're going to deport him, I'm going to try to go to the airport they're kicking him out of so I can give him the finger and wave goodbye as they fly into some third world nation where they'll probably kill him because he'll speak out against that government. And in most countries that he's going to go to, they won't put up with that. They'll behead him in the streets. So yeah, the court finally said he can't stay. Now, if the Trump administration decides to follow through with the deportation, that's up to them. But now the road has been paved. He can't fight it anymore. This is it. Hopefully, he'll be packing up his stuff in a trash bag, moving out of his mother's basement, and being flown to some country that he's been professing he wants to support, and see how much they support him when he gets there. He hasn't done the circuit yet, crying on TV and saying, he's just, a man speaking his mind. That comes probably next week. He'll do the Nazi apologist tour. I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to defend you, the poor people of Palestine against the genocidal regime of Israel. He'll do that tour next week. And hopefully that while he's doing that, people will be laughing at him. And the crowd of 2 that show up to listen to him will ignore him. But yeah, he'll be gone soon. Good riddance to bad rubbish. I can't wait for him to go. And I'm sure a lot of other people can. Tim Waltz, we all know who that is, Tampon Timmy, the guy who put tampons in boys' bathrooms in the state of Minnesota because he thought, boys need tampons too. Another mental giant. Finally, after all the crap going on in Minnesota, or Minneapolis, all the crap going on in that city, all the fighting, the riots, he has activated the National Guard and has them on standby to back up the police in that city to try to regain some control. Yeah, that should have been done weeks ago. I don't know I know what he's waiting for. He was waiting to find out where he would get the most play for that, if he could get a little political capital out of it. But now that he's going to resign because of all the fraud he's been associated with, and he's stepping down and won't run for another term, I guess he doesn't care now. The guy wants law and order in the city. Had he let the police back up ICE, we wouldn't be here. But here we are. Tampon Timmy will be putting the National Guard on standby. And I've also read, I can't remember where, that Trump was thinking about instituting the Insurrection Act, which I hope he doesn't, because that's pretty much just martial law. It's where the U.S. military enforces the law, and it's not going to be a good thing. I hope the National Guard and the police departments can kind of calm things down, because if that happens, it's going to get very ugly. And people who think the police are heavy-handed have not dealt with U.S. Marines telling them what they can and can't do and then fighting with them. They don't know that they don't fully understand the word heavy-handed yet, but they will find out quickly if that happens. So hopefully that won't happen. And to answer everybody's question, Insurrection Act has been used before in recent history. George Bush used it during the during the hurricane. I think it was in the U.S. Virgin Islands to prevent looting. He instituted the Insurrection Act. A couple other presidents in recent history have. So it's not like he's the first president to ever think about using it. It's been done before, but sparingly and for obvious reasons. It's not something you should do lightly. It should be a lot of thought put into that before you do it. Because like I said, it's not going to end well wherever it's at. It's going to get very ugly. And why will it get ugly? Because of all the Karens and liberals out there that think they're above the law and don't have to listen to the law. The people that think, I will do anything against Trump because I don't like him. They'll be the ones that are out there fighting with the military, and the military will shoot you. That's why I hope this is thought out long and hard before they do it. The military is not trained for crowd control. They're not trained to police and arrest. They are trained to kill the enemy. So I hope this does not happen. I hope Tampon Timmy gets the National Guard in there and they finally quell things and prevent that from happening. I hope that is the last resort. I truly, truly do. Because I don't want that to happen to anybody in any city. But you also got to see it from another point of view. They've asked for it. They've been told to stop, stand down, obey the law, and they haven't. Again, it's because they're idiots and they think the law doesn't apply to them. They think that their feelings are more important than the law. They think it's mean to deport illegal immigrants, then you don't have to do it. We're going to fight you. So they've brought it on themselves should it get to that point. And they have no one to blame but themselves. But they'll never see it that way. It'll always be somebody else's fault. That's what the problem with dealing with liberals. It's always somebody else's fault. They're wrong, I'm right. It's wrong to enforce the law because it separates family. But only this law. Any other law that separates families is fine, because every other law in the world, if you're convicted of a crime, you're separated from your family. You go to jail. Your family doesn't go with you. You don't get to see them on weekends. You're separated from your family. And that's okay. But deporting illegal immigrants is wrong because that separates them from the family. I will never understand the liberals' way of thought. It's stupefying. I don't know how they think or what they think or how they get to the conclusions they come to. And also, if you're an illegal immigrant and you're deported, they'll send their family with you. They'll pay for all of you to go. So I don't get it. Every other law is good. That law is bad. It's ridiculous. And most of these people that are deporting that have been here illegally have been here illegally for decades. It's not like they haven't had time to start the paperwork. And not like they haven't had time to get things right. They've had decades, and they've chosen not to. So it's not our fault for enforcing the law. It's their fault for being lazy. You've had time to do this. Why haven't you done it? And again, like I've said before, I blame religious leaders and liberals for telling them, don't do it. You don't have to do it. Come to this country illegally. We'll take care of you. Their blood is on their hands. They've enabled these people and encouraged them to come here illegally, not to follow the law of the land. And look what's happening to them now. I think those people should be kicked out of the country too. You don't get to tell somebody to ignore the law. It's okay. You don't have to listen to it. And then be upset when the law is enforced. Well, it's like saying you can drink and drive. It's okay. Don't worry about it. We don't believe in that law. And then they kill somebody and you blame the person who dies. That's what they're doing with these illegal immigrants. It's everybody else's fault for deporting them. Not their fault. It's everybody else's fault. Again, liberals are morons and really are frighteningly stupid. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers this, talking about illegal immigrants and deportations. This young man was Elon Gonzalez. He was deported over a custody hearing. His father, I think, was in Cuba. He was in America living with his uncle, and Clinton ordered him deported. He was 4 years old at the time, and as you can see, armed soldiers kicked at his door and drug him out at gunpoint. And that was okay because Clinton ordered it. I guess he had them do this between sticking a cigar where it shouldn't have gone and cheating on his wife in the Oval Office. He ordered this to be done. It happened on June 28th and April 22nd, 2000. His great uncle wanted Elon to remain in the country while his father, Juan Miguel Gonzalez, sought his return to Cuba. This led to a high-profile and protracted custody battle involving his father, his Miami relatives, and U.S. and Cuban officials. Elon was returned to his father's custody after an INS raid on Miami's relative's home on April 22nd. This is the picture that everybody's seen. The guy's got an automatic weapon pointed at the kid to drag him back to Cuba. Elon was granted temporary permission to stay in the U.S., and he was placed with his uncle, Lazaro Gonzalez, in Miami. Gonzalez then grew up in Cuba, earned an engineering degree, and worked as an industrial engineer. In 2023, he was elected to the National Assembly of People's Power, representing Cardenas, Cuba. So, yeah, it's okay for Clinton to forcibly remove people from this country, but not Trump. It's okay for Obama to do it, but not Trump. Are you starting to see a theme here? Like I said before, these people are insane. Insane. So, yeah, I don't remember how old he was when he did this, but he looks like he couldn't have been more than 4 or 5, maybe 3 or 4. And they, at gunpoint, dragged him away from his uncle, deported him back to Cuba. and to the applause of everybody because Clinton, such a fine, upstanding man, ordered it. And apparently, him and his lovely wife have ignored the subpoena to appear before Congress. And of course, nothing will happen to them. If you or I ignore a subpoena, we're going to get locked up and put in jail. But they're allowed to do it because they're politicians or ex politicians, and the law does not apply to them, especially because they're Democrat. They don't need to show up, they can ignore subpoenas. You or I cannot. I would not advise you ignoring a subpoena. Um, Number one, because you're not a Clinton and you're not a politician. You're a worker bee like me, and they will come put you in jail if you ignore their subpoena. But the Clintons can't. I think they should be arrested for that. Like anybody else, you ignore a subpoena, you get arrested. You get a bench warrant issued for your arrest, and then they pick you up and you stand in front of a judge and explain to him why you ignored a subpoena. If I did it, that's what would happen. If you did it, that's what would happen. But politicians can willy-nilly ignore subpoenas, and nothing happens to them. It's not kosher. Sorry, I was thirsty. Okay, so here we go. Now let me explain what this show's about. If you've watched my show in the past, you know I do politics and political things. I get all fired up, have like mini strokes on camera, screaming, yelling, pounding my chest, and complaining. I need a break from politics for a while. Just for today, just one day, I need a break from politics. I can't stomach it right now. I don't want to talk about it, politics right now. I'm disgusted with all of them. It's a joke, and I just need to take a break from politics just for tonight. And I think I'll start doing this like once a month. Take a break from politics and talk about things that really matter to you and me, things that are important outside of the political arena, things that we talk about in our daily lives, things that you talk about at work, things you talk about with your friends. I think that's what we need to do like once a month and just relax, stop and smell the roses, just chill out, enjoy life. So I want to start this whole thing off, and this has kind of changed. So I don't know if Damon's still kind of paying attention or watching, but if he can feed me some of the updates I'm about to talk about. And of course, the chat's open, so you can chat, type in a message and I'll answer it, or we can talk about whatever you want to talk about or whatever. And again, for some reason, YouTube chat doesn't work. It won't post here, so I apologize for that. I don't know why. It just won't. But if you're on Rumble, X, or the other places this is showing, you can definitely type your answer question in, and I'll put it in here so you can see. If you can see if you're on Facebook or Rumble, and I think X, you can post. If you just saw what I posted, you can definitely post. And what I'll do is I'll put X on my phone so I can see it as I talk. So if you post there, I can see it there. Give me 1 second. Let me bring that up. Where are we? Here we go. Nope, wrong one. Here we go. All right. So now if you post on X on the American Pulse Network page, I will see it. And I will be able to respond. Let me turn the volume. I don't want to hear myself echoing. So yeah, if you type in the chat on X, I'll be able to see it. So there you go. So the first thing I want to talk about is what's going on today. The playoff picture in the NFL, the AFC East. I believe who played there today? I think Denver won and New England won. So we got them, and I don't know much about the AFC. I'm an NFC guy. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. But Houston kicked our butt pretty good, 30-6. They have, I think, one of the best defenses in the league. And if they keep playing like that, here we go. The 26th AFC Championship game will feature the Broncos. New England beat Houston, so it'll be the Broncos and the Patriots on the 25th at Mile High. I'm kind of shocked, actually. I thought Houston had a very solid defense. Apparently not solid enough. So we got Denver and New England Patriots. We playing at Mile High Stadium. Like I said, I'm a Pittsburgh fan, so I really haven't paid much attention to this anymore. And I'll get a little bit more into the Steelers in a minute here. But so we got New England and Denver New England kind of took a timeout for a while when Brady left, and then they lost Belichick. I think Brady left first, and then they kind of went downhill, which kind of shows you that Belichick wasn't the world's greatest coach. He just had a really great quarterback and some great people around them that helped them win. Because when Brady left, the Patriots stopped winning. Now, that doesn't mean that's why. It's just kind of suspicious if you ask me. Don't know much about Denver, but they beat Buffalo. Buffalo was a good game last weekend. Their game this week, that interception, I don't know if that was an interception. I thought it was a completed pass because he caught the ball, his knee hit the ground, then it looks like he stripped the ball and Denver got it. I don't know if I'd have called that an interception. And then people are saying, well, the NFL's all staged now. They fake it. And I don't believe that, because how do you fake a football game? I've coached football. How do you get everybody? How would you get both teams and the refs on the same page to a predetermined outcome? And how would you get there? I mean, fumbles happen, interceptions happen, things happen that would change the course of the game that you can't script and you can't account for. So I don't buy that whole NFL script. It would just be way too many moving parts for it to work out. But that's just me. I mean, I just don't think it's possible. Highly unlikely, I'll say. It's very highly unlikely. Anything is possible except putting toothpaste back in the tube. So it's not impossible. It's just very highly unlikely. So we got New England and Denver. I would have to go with New England just based on the past they've had. They were kind of bad for a while, but they've always had they're good. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think it'll be another close game. And how many missed field goals and point afters have there been in the playoffs? I mean, that's how the Steelers got in, because the Ravens missed a field goal. It was like a chip shot. And the only reason that made a difference is because their guy missed a field goal that was a chip shot. I mean, I don't know how many missed field goals and point afters there's been, and how many times in the last couple of weeks in the NFL people have gone on fourth and down and gotten it. It's just been a crazy season. Interesting, but crazy. And again, Aaron Rodgers, who's the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I hope he's gone. I know they got rid of Tomlin, and we'll talk about, he didn't get rid of him. He stepped down, whatever. But I'll talk about that in a minute. So, there we got New England and Denver, Mile High Stadium. I think that's next Saturday to determine who goes to the Super Bowl for the AFC. And I always thought the AFC is a tougher division than the NFC. I think there's stronger teams, and I think the AFC is more about defense. I think they play tougher, harder football. Always had good, solid teams come out of there. So let's look at the AFC. NFC. So we have Seattle. Seattle won. They beat San Francisco. I think Chicago and the LA Raiders, or whoever they are now, they're playing now. I think Chicago has got a solid team. I think they got a really good chance of winning it. I watched their game, and again, very close game. It's second quarter with 8 minutes and 50 seconds left in the quarter. So that's going on. I'm not it's 7-7 too, so it's a tie game. Again, I think the NFC is more about offense. They're not a very strong defensive division, in my opinion. Again, the big shock was Philly getting beat by San Francisco. That really, really caught me off guard. Seattle beating San Francisco really doesn't shock me. If Chicago loses, that will shock me. That'll kind of be strange because they got a good team. They got a really good offense. They got an okay defense. Their quarterback is decent. I don't think he's elite. I'll say he's above average for the NFL. Seattle beat San Francisco 41-6. That's like a basketball score. Again, no defense, all offense. 41-6. That's like the Steelers are getting beat, 31-6? Some crazy crap like that. Again, no defense. If the score gets that high, your defense sucks. They're not stopping anything. 41-6 tells me your defense sucks. And if you got 6 points, that's 2 field goals. You couldn't even get in for a touchdown. Or you made the touchdown and you missed the extra point. Either way, that's an ass whipping. That's embarrassing. That's, wow, 41-6. But you know what? They still make their millions. They don't care. They're still getting their paychecks. They still get their endorsements. They didn't lose anything over that. That's why I like the XFL when it first came out. You only got paid if you won. If your team won, you got paid. If you lost, you didn't. And I think it was only like you only got like 30 or 40 grand if your team won. So it wasn't like you're making millions. And that lasted for like a season and a half maybe. And now they got it back again. I don't know. But yeah, so that's what we got. So we got pretty interesting game going on now. 7-7, 8:50 left in the second quarter, and that's us. Chicago and LA. So I guess before we get off, we might have a. Nah, I don't think we will. No, I won't be on that long, so we won't have a final score then. But we'll have a good idea at that point. So what? Kansas City Chiefs got bumped out early in the season, which is great because I got tired of hearing about Mahomes and freaking Taylor Swift and all that. I got so sick of hearing about that. So I'm glad they got booted out. I don't think he was a good quarterback anyway. I think he was, again, surrounded by a great team, and they helped him. I think, again, he may be above average for the NFL, but I don't think he's elite. I think tight ends and receivers and the defense helped him out a lot. I don't think he was that good. I mean, he's better than me. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in the world of the NFL, he was a little above average. My opinion. And again, I'm not one of these NFL analysts that spend my days looking at tapes and films and all that kind of stuff. Now, I know I talked about Pittsburgh earlier, and I know I didn't want to talk about politics, but this kind of commingles. I don't know if you heard about it, but Tomlin, after the loss to the Texans, stepped down as the head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he'd been the head coach for 19 seasons, so 19 years. If I remember correctly, I have his stats, and we'll kind of go through those. Here we go. Tomlin was with the Pittsburgh Steelers over 19 seasons, 2007 to 2025. He has 193 wins, 114 losses, and 2 ties. He has a .628 winning percentage with an 8-12 playoff record and 1 Super Bowl victory. And there's a star by that Super Bowl victory. He's the only coach in the NFL to start his career with 19 consecutive non-losing seasons and is tied with Chuck Noll for the most regular season wins in Steelers history, 193. His key highlights, his overall record, including playoffs, is 201 wins, 126 losses, and 2 ties. His regular season record is 193 and 114 losses, and again, 2 ties. His playoff record is 8 wins and 12 losses. That's a 400 average. Super Bowl wins. He has 1 Super Bowl win in 2008 and 2 appearances in 2008 and 2010. His postseason streak, 7 consecutive playoff losses from 2017 to 2005, and most of those were one and done. Non-losing season, an unprecedented 19 straight non-losing seasons to begin his head coaching career, which is impressive. But if you can't get to the big dance, it doesn't really matter. He won the 2008 AP Coach of the Year. So the one Super Bowl he won was with Bill Cowher's team. He still had Roethlisberger. I believe he still had who was the running back? I can't remember the running back. He still had the defense that Cowher built. It wasn't his team. He hadn't put his people on in yet. So he won with Cowher won a 3rd Super Bowl, is the way I look at it. Tomlin just happened to be wearing the head coach hat. He didn't build the team that was built for him. He walked into that team. The team he built, nothing. Never got to the Super Bowl. I think, like I said, most of their playoff losses were the first round, one and done. He was happy just making above 500. That was his big claim to fame. Like, I have 19 winning seasons. Yeah, but you got no Super Bowl wins. Nothing you built won a Super Bowl. You couldn't even get to the division round. You couldn't make it there. So he stepped down. That's what they're saying. I don't know all that's going on. And as soon as he stepped down, everybody comes out, that's racist. If it were a white coach, they'd let him stay there. So my question to you people that think, hey, if he were a white coach, are you trying to tell me the Pittsburgh Steelers for 19 years didn't realize he was black? They just figured it out this year. Oh, wait, he's black. Shit, we got to kick him off the team. No, you coach for 19 years, 19 seasons. You have won Super Bowl again. I explained that in my opinion. You haven't won a Super Bowl in 18 years. You haven't got past the first or second round in the playoffs in 18 years. You could be purple with 4 eyes and 7 arms and have an IQ of 500. They're going to take you off as head coach. You're not producing. Having a winning record is not enough. You need to win the Super Bowl, or at least get there. Doesn't matter that he's black. Doesn't matter that he was white. Wouldn't matter to anyone. Football is a business. They're there to make money. And if you can't put asses in seats, then you're not going to be coach for long. You can't get to the Super Bowl, they're not going to keep you around. They kept him for 19 years. So you can get this whole thing that because he's black, he's gone out of your mind. That's stupid. That's just stupid talk. He got let go or stepped down, or however it's working, because he couldn't pull the trigger. He couldn't drop that hammer. He had 19 years to do it. Couldn't do it. How long should they give him to try to get to the Super Bowl? How many decades does he need to have? He almost had 2 decades. So how much more do they, like 40 years? Come on. If he were a boss of the business you owned and he was running it, and every year he made your company $2 million, and you know there's like $7 more million to win, but he's turning a profit. He's never lost you money, but he's never made you more money than that. After 19 years, you're going to let him go too. Heck, probably not even 19 years, probably after 4 or 5 years. Look, you're not making us any more money. We're flat. And it wouldn't matter to you if you were black or white then either. And it didn't matter that to the Rooneys. I think Ryan Clark, who's an ex-Steeler, of course, he's a race baiter. He doesn't have anything else to talk about except race. He's been running around saying if it were a white coach, we wouldn't be having this conversation. He's just another idiot. Again, I don't understand why people. I understand why they do it, because they want to stay relevant. He's an ex-Pittsburgh Steeler who's now just a talking head on ESPN or whatever he's on. Probably not very popular, so he's going to do whatever he can to generate buzz about him. And being a racist and making racial charges against people puts you in the news, because unfortunately a lot of dumb people pay attention to that. Anybody who thinks that was done out of racism is stupid. I honestly do not believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers organization is racist. I don't think he stepped down because of racism. I think he stepped down, like I said, he could not win the big one. He couldn't get to the big dance. Had 19 years, or 18, if we count the one Super Bowl he won with Cowher's team. He had 18 years to do it on his own, and he couldn't do it. I think they waited 15 years too long, personally. I think after 4 or 5 years, if you can't do anything, you need to go. Like I said, it's a business, and if that team is there to make money, end of the day, you're not making this money. We got to move on. But again, that's just my opinion. Again, like I said, I don't spend all day with my head in the NFL universe trying to learn as much as I can, which is probably a good thing, because it probably just infuriate me. And to be honest, I don't watch football as much as I used to after the whole kneeling debacle where people would kneel and it was okay. Football is there to entertain me, just like when it comes to Hollywood. I don't particularly want to hear about your political leanings. I don't care. I'm watching you because, number one, you entertain me in a movie, you make me laugh, you make me cry, you're scary, or one of the two things. Or I watch you on sports because you're athletic and I want to watch you do athletic things. Beyond that, I don't care about your personal opinions on politics. I don't. These people who go to these football games aren't paying hundreds of dollars to listen to you espouse your political beliefs. They don't care. And they shouldn't. They're there to watch. They're there to be entertained. They're there to escape that crap for 4 hours at a football game or 2 hours to watch a movie. They don't want to have that stuff rammed down their throat. And they definitely don't want to pay hundreds of dollars to hear someone preach to them about how wrong they are. So after that, I stopped really watching football a lot. I'll watch a little bit of it, or I'll watch the highlights just to get scores, but I don't plan my day around the NFL anymore. And once you stop doing that, you realize there's a whole day to do things in. You're not sitting in front of the TV watching millionaires play catch and talk about politics. It's a whole other day, things you can do. So we'll be right back. Got to pay the bills, and then we'll get into the second segment of the show.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda, but America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, Elena, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Parler, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution, because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
So yeah, we got got a couple of podcasts. You got Damon the Hammer, who has his podcast, The Jersey Shore. And you have, excuse me, Alexandra Levine has hers. She's also the White House correspondent. Damon is running for Congress where he lives, and I'm sure he talks about that on his show. And talks about it on Wednesday nights on The Pulse, where everybody gets together and we discuss everything that's going on that week. Wasn't there last week. Things are kind of tight for me on time on Wednesdays, so I'm going to try my best to be there on Wednesdays, but it's going to be difficult moving forward. But I will try my best to be there. But if not, it's still going to be a good time. I don't need me there to have fun. I'm not that important. But yeah, so Wednesday nights at 8, you got The Pulse, and then you have Alexander and Damon's show. Then you have my show on Sundays at 7. And apparently we're working in a couple other podcasters who are doing their shows. We have like 2 on deck and 3 possible. So it might be a very busy year for us. But don't worry, I'm not giving up Sundays ever. This is my time. I've earned it, and I will not share it with anybody. I will always be on Sundays at 7, always, unless I'm sick or can't make it or I'm on vacation. But this is my time. And no damn rookie's taking my time. So there's that. So the next segment of the show is new for me. But I figure, like I said, I want to get away from politics and talk about things that affect our lives all the time and that I think are more important than, what congressman said what or blah, 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 blah. So this segment's about relationships. And it's going to be from my point of view because, of course, I'm a guy. I know I'm a guy, and I don't think I'm anything else. So I'm going to talk about it from our perspective, the guy's perspective. And I'm not speaking for every guy, so I don't want guys going, oh, shit, getting your girl away from the screen because I'm going to say something. No, I'm not going to. It's just my opinion. So there's just some stats about relationships. It's weird. Dating has changed in my lifetime several times. It's not what it used to be. It's not go to a bar or a club and you get a drink and you see somebody like you, sit down next to them, you buy them a drink, you dance, you talk, you go out to breakfast in the morning and you start something off. It's not like that anymore. And I completely blame was a coronavirus for that. That ruined dating, horribly ruined dating, and quickly. So relationship status, a significant 72% of the U.S. adults are currently in a romantic relationship, reflecting the importance of love in society. No person is an island. We are built and we are made to be around other people. That's why our parts fit other people's parts. That's why people live in cities and towns, because they want to be around other people. You may not like everybody, but we're supposed to be around other people. The first sign of a mental illness is shutting yourself off from society. It's a first sign. You like Ted Kaczynski, lived in a shack in the middle of nowhere with nobody around him, mental illness. So 72% of people in a relationship, which is cool. I didn't think it was that high until I started to look into this. The marriage rate in the U.S. sits at 6.1 per 1,000 people, showcasing the ongoing commitment to lifelong partnerships. I don't know if 6.1 out of 1,000 is a lot. I think that's kind of low. I would think it'd be more like 10%. 100 people out of 1,000 are married, something like that. So we're looking at way below that. But I guess that's good. Marriage is tough. It's one of those things you got to work at every day. It's not something you wake up and it just happens. I was married one time, very young, so I didn't really count it as a marriage. Didn't last very long. I was in the Navy, married in the Navy, divorced in the Navy. The only good thing that came out of that whole situation was my daughter. Now that it's been, 30 years, something like that, a long time, I am friendly with my ex-wife. We can talk about things, but I shouldn't have gotten married. She shouldn't have got married. We were too young, too stupid. I'm just not young anymore. I'm still stupid. But I have my daughter out of that, so it wasn't a complete and total waste of time. Looking back on it, I'm probably glad that it ended as soon as it did, rather than have it linger for 2 or 3 years and then get divorced after we own things together, and that causes a whole bunch of other problems. So yeah, so 6.1 out of 1,000 people are married. A staggering 65% of couples identify poor communication as a major hurdle, signaling the need for open dialogue in relationships. I guess that probably builds off of trust. And guys, and when it comes to men in relationships, we don't need to hear everything that's going on, because we realize emotions are going to change just like the weather. What you feel like today or what you feel like right now, you're not going to feel like in 10 minutes. Everything changes. So if you're talking to your boyfriend or your husband and you're getting into great detail about Sarah, your coworker, and what she was wearing today and how obnoxious she is and what she does with her pencil while you're trying to work, or how she types on her keyboard, and then that leads to something else, and you look at your husband and he's glazed over, it's not that he doesn't care. It's just, we know this is temporary. You're going to feel different the next day. The next day, you and that girl are going to have lunch together and be best of friends. It's not that men don't care. It's just we understand that this is not permanent. And there's no sense of putting so much effort into talking about something like that that's going to change. It's going to change. It's that simple. And women will ask, why does it take so long for a guy to answer a question we answer? I mean, there was a video I wanted to put up, but I couldn't find it. And it's pretty simple. When you ask a guy a question, number one, we have to internalize the question to make sure you're asking us a question. Number two, we replay the question in our head to make sure it's not a trap. Number four, we start to figure out how to answer the question and what words we're going to use. Fifth step is we go back to make sure it's not a trap and we're not getting in trouble for answering it. And number six, we give you the answer. And number seven, we wait for the retort to our answer. It's not just ask us a question and we blindly answer it. It's exhausting. There's a lot that goes into answering a question for a guy. So again, we're not ignoring you. We just want to make sure we're hearing the question the way you want us to hear it, and that we're not stepping into a trap, and that we answer the question as best we can, again, without setting off a trap. An impressive 61% of individuals regard their partner as their best friend, emphasizing the blend of love and friendship in relationships. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. I've never understood that. I mean, if you look at dating sites, you'll have women that come out and go, I'm like one of the guys. I'm just like one of the guys. Guys don't want to date one of the guys. If a guy wanted to date one of the guys, he would be gay and he would date one of the guys. That's not what we want. We don't want to date a guy. We want to date a woman. That's why we're heterosexual. If you can hang out with the guys, that's great. But we're not looking for a tomboy 24/7. That's just, I mean, some guys are. Like, again, this is just my opinion. There are some guys that want that. They want that girl they can go fishing with and hunting with and work on cars together with and all that kind of stuff. And that's great. I personally don't. I don't want to come home to a guy and do guy things with my significant other. I don't want to do that. Every once in a while, that's great. We can go, well, I'm not a big hiker, but we can go do outdoor stuff. We can go do things that you go to football games together, do things like that. But I don't want someone I can sit back and suck beers down with, chew tobacco, and watch roller derby with. That's not what I want. Again, just me. Having common likes and dislikes are great. But I'm not looking to date a dude or a woman that thinks she's a dude or transgender, whatever you want to call it. Divorce statistics. Although around 40 to 50% of marriages face divorce, the number has been in decline, indicating stronger commitments in recent years. I don't believe that at all. I think less people are getting married, which shows that number. And I blame the feminists for that, telling women you don't need no man in your life. You're a strong, independent woman. You don't need a man. You can do it all yourself. Raise a kid by yourself. Do everything by yourself. Bullshit. You can't do it. And stats back that up. Needs to be a man in the home because a woman and a man teach children different things. There has to be a yin to yang. It doesn't work any other way. So 40 to 50% of marriages that face divorce, that's a lot. And again, from a guy's perspective, we understand that marriages require work, but it shouldn't be work 24/7. If you have to constantly fix that marriage, there's a problem. Someone's doing something that they shouldn't be, or they're not being honest. Because it shouldn't be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week work. Shouldn't be. There has to be some enjoyment there. Infidelity insights. Approximately 20% of married couples have faced infidelity, yet 60% chose to stay together by seeking support and counseling. See, that's kind of, I don't know how I feel about that. So what they're saying is you come home and your significant other has slept with somebody else, and somehow you find out. It doesn't say how. I'm pretty sure this is not people walking in and finding their significant other in bed with somebody else, because I think that stat would be completely different if that were the case. Maybe you find out or something slips, you see a text message or whatever. And out of those 20% of the married couples, 60% of them have stayed together. I don't know. I guess it depends on how long you've been together. I mean, if you've been together for like 6 months and that happens, cut your losses, get the hell out of there. If they've done it that soon, they're going to do it again. And that goes for both people, men and women. If you catch your significant other that soon cheating, get rid of them. It's ridiculous. I guess you've been together a few years and you've got a life built together and you're established. Maybe I could understand trying to work it out if it's like the first time it's ever happened and they told you about it and you believe that they're sorry. I mean, I just can't say I agree or disagree with that because there has to be a backstory. You have to know more information. So yeah, that's kind of weird to me. And if that's something you've done, I'm not knocking you. It's your life. You do what you want to do. I just don't know how I would react to something like that. That's just kind of weird. Really weird. And that goes to another whole thing I kind of want to talk about. Swinging. I'm sure you all know what that is. Married couples that let their spouses sleep with other people. And sometimes they watch or record. Why in the hell did you get married in the first place? I don't understand that. If you just got married to go sleep with other people, why did you get married? Stay single and go sleep with other people. I mean, because at the end of the day, marriage is a religious institution. It was started by the church. You're making a promise to God that you will stay together till death do us part and all that. And then you go out and you let your wife or husband sleep with somebody else. I don't understand it. And again, I'm not judging. If that's how you live your life, that's fine. I'm power to you if it works. I just don't know how that works. How does one partner not get upset or jealous and the other partner not like the other person? I mean, there's just so many things I could see happening that would make that a no-go. But obviously I'm wrong because a lot of people live that swinging lifestyle. And again, if you're a swinger, come on the show. I got thousands of questions I'd like to ask you. And no, I'm not going to ask if I can sleep with your spouse. I just have questions about that whole arrangement, how it works, and are there rules or things like that? I don't know. Like, do you have to tell the person you're sleeping with somebody, or can you just go do it and tell them afterwards? I don't know. It just seems like it's really just blah. Why would you do that? Again, it's not my life. You live your life the way you want to do it. I'm not going to judge you. If it works for you, that's awesome. I just don't know how it would work for you. So there are 4 types of relationships, technically speaking, and I have them somewhere in here. And I will find them and tell you what the 4 relationships are, and they make sense. There isn't one type of relationship. There's a set of 4, and this is psychologist speaking. And they can be categorized in many ways, but the common groupings include, these are the 4: family relationships, friendship relationships, acquaintances, and romantic relationships. Any relationship you have will fall into one of those 4 categories. And it makes sense. Either they're family, They're people you know at work. They're people you've known growing up, would be friendships. And of course, there's the people that you share your bed with or your last name with and have children. That would be a romantic relationship. So that kind of makes sense. It's kind of a no-brainer. I think most people, well, and that's focusing on general social connections. Another framework looks at relationship dynamics like security, anxiousness, avoidance, and disorganized attachment styles based on childhood bonds. Some also define them by balance of power and support, such as competitive, controlling, passive, active, aggressive, accommodating, and acceptance and balance dynamics. It makes sense. That really doesn't need much explaining. There's four, and whatever relationship you're in will fall into one of those four categories, no matter how you look at it. And what men really want from their women, and that's about talking about relationships. And again, this is from my perspective. I'm not speaking for all men. There may be some men that agree with what I'm going to say, and there may be some men that think I'm full of shit. I don't know. But this is just from my perspective. The first thing men really want is appreciation. They want to feel appreciated for what they do. That's if they, and again, I understand that not all men want this. Not all men go outside of the home to work to support their family. Some places the woman goes outside to support the household and the man stays home. I get that. Again, this is how I see things. Men want to be appreciated, feeling valued, recognized for efforts, and respected as an individual, and not just for what we provide, for everything else that we do. There's a lot that some men do, and there's very little some other men do. It just depends on who they are. But I think that's the most important thing. Then trust and loyalty, which goes back to that, 20% of couples have faced infidelity, 60% have worked through it. We want to believe that our significant other is loyal, without question. We want to be able, somebody goes, hey, do you think that your wife or girlfriend or significant other's out there messing around? No. We want to be able to say that and believe it. And that goes, and I'm sure women feel the same way about that too. They want to have a partner they know they can trust, and that is loyal. Like if you had a spouse or a husband or a wife that came up to you and said, so and so was talking trash about you the other day at, I don't know, the bar or wherever you all hang out and you weren't there. My first question would be, why do they feel so comfortable bad mouthing me in front of you? You're supposed to be my partner. Why do they feel comfortable talking about me like that in front of you? And that should be your first question if your significant other comes to you and says the same thing. Why does this person feel it's okay to talk about me like that in front of you? What have you done to lead that person to believe it's okay to badmouth me? Again, loyalty and trust, that kind of erodes it away. So we want a woman or a man, you want a man that would go out, and if someone started to talk trash about you, they'd go, hey, look, that's, I don't want to hear that. That's, you need to shut your mouth or you're going to catch a smack. Stop. That's my wife or that's my husband. And if you got nothing good to say about him, then maybe we should stop talking because you're being a dickhead. That's what we want. Someone that stands up for us when we're not around. And of course, physical and emotional intimacy. Men need to have sex to feel loved, and women need to be loved to have sex. It's a horrible, horrible joke played by God. So that's important. And women need to have that emotional intimacy to have relations. Men aren't so much into the emotional to have relations. They need to have the physical to have the emotional, like I just said. But that's an important foundation for any relationship. It's hard to find a relationship that doesn't involve sex that lasts very long. It won't last very long because that falls back into trust and loyalty and respect and appreciation. Are they having sex with somebody else? Why are we not having sex? Maybe they're out cheating on me, or they don't appreciate what I'm doing and I'm wasting my time here because that X, Y, and Z. So those are important. Those are two important things, and it depends on who you talk to, which is more important. Support and encouragement. Men are big, dumb animals. At the end of the day, we want to be fed, told that we're doing a good job, ask if we need a hand, and then let us sleep. Really, that's all men need. Tell us we're doing a great job. Even if it's something stupid, like opening a pickle jar. Hey, thank you. I couldn't have done that without you. I appreciate it. That will go a million miles with a dude. Trust me. Space and autonomy. This is where it gets kind of hinky. Um, everybody needs personal space once in a while. Everybody needs to be, hey, I've had a bad day. Just leave me alone for a couple hours. I think men more than women. Men get grumpy. Like I said, we're big dumb animals. We get grumpy and just want to be in our cave and left alone. Doesn't mean we don't care about you. Doesn't mean we don't love you. It just means at that particular moment in time, something pissed us off and we need to process it before we can do anything else. And how do we process it? We go off by ourselves for a little bit and we think about it. Or we don't think about it and we go mow the lawn or we go fix something, change oil in the car, but we process that differently. We don't want to talk about it. Again, in general, if I'm upset, I don't want to talk about it immediately. I may be too pissed off to talk about it and not want to say anything. And then if you get pressed, like, well, we need to talk, then they're going to get shitty with you. And that's when arguments happen. So if a guy says, give me a minute, give him a minute. He's not ignoring you. He doesn't think you're not important. It's the opposite. He doesn't want to say something that's going to upset you because he's upset. So give him time. He'll come back and talk to you about it. Maybe not as in depth as you want him to talk about it. Like he's not going to go into an hour tirade about how Paul at work called him a name and then made fun of it. It's not going to be like that. It'll be quick to the point. But that's how men share. Women, again, are very different. They will give you a 7-page answer to a 4-word question. And that's just fine. That's how they are. There's nothing wrong with it. But you can't expect men to respond the same way that women do. We won't. We can't. We're not built like that. We don't process things like that. And it doesn't mean that we're disrespectful, don't care about what you think. We're just processing it differently. Honest communication. Everybody likes honesty until it's about them. Then they don't like honesty. So you got to be careful. Little white lies. Do I look fat in this dress? No, you don't look fat in that dress. You look fine. Because if you tell her, yeah, you look fat in that dress, dude, you better just get used to the couch because that's where you're going to be for the next 6 months. Unless she looks horrible. Like if she looks like a dumpster fire and like, oh my God, small children are going to run away from you if you go out in public like that, then yes, you need to tell her, yeah, maybe that dress isn't as flattering as it should be. Maybe you should find something else. You got to keep stuff like that in mind. Like I said, everybody likes honesty until it's about them. Then it's a different story. Then you got to listen to it. So I'm not saying lie to people. I'm saying try to soften the blow as best you can. Do I look, and never answer that question. Do I look fat in this dress? Avoid it. That's a trap question. That is a trap. Don't answer it. Run. Run away screaming. Call your friends, tell them to come pick you up because that is a trap question. It's not going to, there's no right answer for that. So again, that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. This is just how I answer those questions. And I have a friend sitting next to me who's of the female persuasion. I can hear her sighing every time I answer a question or explain something. Again, process things differently. It doesn't make her right and me wrong or me right and her wrong. It's just we're opposites. And that's how it's supposed to be. If you're with somebody that agrees with you 24/7, doesn't question anything you do, agrees with everything you say, you're being lied to. That person is lying to you. Nobody agrees with anybody all the time. Nobody thinks everybody's right all the time. They are avoiding conflict and just lying to you. So if you think that's a perfect relationship, I got news for you, Slick. You don't have a relationship. You got to lie. And it's going to blow up one of these days in your face. Arguments are healthy. It builds a relationship stronger. As long as there's no such thing as a bad argument. You can be upset one day and not like the way that she's making waffles. I mean, there's something more to it than the waffles, but there's something there. The Hammer says, men are simple creatures. Women are complicated because they feel the need to find a way to fix everything in that moment. It's just how we are made. And that's, like I said, in general, that's true. Men think logically, women think emotionally. It's just how things are. It doesn't make them wrong or us right. Like I said, it's just how things are. It's opposites. And that's why they work together. Yang to yang. Rational to emotional. Nurturing to authoritarian. You need both of that in a relationship, especially if you have children. You can't have just one because the child is going to pay for that. And studies will show if you don't have a man in the house, crime rates for the children go up, school dropout rates go up, Drug use goes up. Teenage pregnancy goes up. Everything goes up if it's a broken house. You can look that up. I'm not making any of that stuff up. I did a show on that a couple last year. It's all about togetherness. You can't have, and this is going to piss people off, and I don't care. You can't have two women or two men raising kids because they're missing something. There's a piece that's going to be missing. That's why men fit with women. Physically, they fit together. There's a reason for that. Mother Nature doesn't make mistakes. And if she does, she corrects them very quickly. So I agree with Damon. Like I said, guys will mull things over for months before they want to talk about it, and women want to address it immediately, fix it, make sure it doesn't happen again, discuss it for days, and not let you forget about it for years. And that's just how women are. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with them. You can't live without them. You need them. Unless you're a weirdo. And I'm not saying you're weird if you're gay. I'm just saying. We'll be right back.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
So yeah, that's Alexandra. She's our White House correspondent. She gets to go to all the cool parties in D.C. and hang out with the important people. They keep me and Damon locked in a cage and only let us out on certain days during the week, which probably makes complete and utter sense if you think about it. Yeah, when we came back, I was laughing because I asked my friend if what I said in the previous segment made sense, and I just got a look of death. Like pretty much, if looks could kill, I would be like a smoldering pile of freeze-dried coffee right now. But it is what it is. Like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do things. It's whatever works for you. I was just speaking in general. And Damon agrees with me. I'm sure Damon will not tell his wife he agrees with me. I've met his wife. She seems like she's a very strong woman and probably wouldn't put up with much shit. I think she's Italian, which adds to that lower tolerance for shit too. But yeah, so there's that. So we're in the last segment of the show. Well, not the last segment, first to last segment of the show. And I wanted to talk about, this is like strictly a guy thing. There's no way, well, more so than not, this is strictly a guy thing. I was sitting down today. I was like, well, what do I want to talk about after all that? I mean, we went talked about sports, which is not strictly a guy thing. There's women, I think there's like more women fans in the NFL now than there ever have been in the history of the NFL. Then we talked about relationships, which is kind of a two-way thing, women and men. I said, so what can I talk about that guys will resonate with guys? What can I discuss that I know about? I mean, I know about mechanics, not much. I'm not a mechanic. I can change the oil. I can do the basic stuff. So I don't want to talk about that because I'm talking out of turn. I can't get very depth into that. I don't hunt, so I can't talk about hunting. Again, I respect hunters. They know more about the food they're eating than I do, and you got to respect that. I don't fish like I used to. And even if you fish, what's there to talk about? You go to the river, you put on some bait, or you use a lure, you throw it out there, and you do what you got to do, you catch something. There's really not much to talk about fishing. It's like watching fishing shows. It's the most quiet, boring show in the world because they can't talk to you while they're fishing. So you just sit there and watch a guy cast and then watch him reel it in. It's boring. So I don't want to talk about that. So I wanted to talk about this. And I put these in wrong, so I'm going back to first. Best TV shows of all time. And again, this is subjective to whoever you talk to. On this chart, the best TV shows of all time, and we'll do the top 5. You have The Sopranos as number 1. You have The Wire as the number 2. Breaking Bad is number 3. Game of Thrones is number 4. And this kind of caught me off guard, maybe not you. The Office is the 5th greatest TV show of all time. So we have those shows. Most of these shows, if I'm looking at them correctly, are not networked. It's HBO. It's a pay channel. They're not like on NBC or well, The Office was, but now it's on I think Netflix now and reruns or some other channels. But it started off on that, and then I think we have Mad Men is number 6. Severance I never heard of, never watched, have no knowledge of it, is number 8. Lost is number 9. And that was a network TV show. You could watch it on regular TV. And Succession, again, I don't know anything about it, but it is number 10. Lost, it kind of lost its allure after like the 3rd season. It kind of like, oh, this is stupid. And then I'm not going to ruin it for you what it's all about, but when you get to the end of it and figure out what all of it's about, it's kind of a letdown. And I'm like, oh, well, that is like a kick in the balls. I waited all this time for that. Same thing with Game of Thrones. It kind of ended like, what? Not even close to the book, but what is this? And let's not talk about The Sopranos the way it ended. I was going to put a brick through my TV on the final episode of that show. I read somewhere that when that show ended, people thought the cable channel died. They were calling their cable provider to find out what happened. Like, my cable went out. Turn it back on. I'm missing the end of the show. And if you've seen the ending of The Sopranos, you can understand why they did that. Now, there's a show that I watched, and we'll talk about the 2 greatest shows I think there are. One of the best shows I've ever watched was on HBO, and it was called Deadwood. It was set back in like the late 1800s, the cowboys, Wild Bill Hickok, outlaws, Indians. Just a really great show. I think it only did 3 seasons. It was probably the most historical accurate show of the Wild West I have ever seen in my entire life. Al Swearingen, which is the guy with the mustache in the picture next to the guy with the hat, was the local, I guess for lack of a better term, mobster, ran the town, did all the shady things and all those kind of things. He was English, and apparently he was based on a real person in Deadwood. Then you had Bullock, who was the sheriff, and then the Doc, and then Calamity Jane, and then you had saloon owners and whores and murderers and thieves. Really good show. I think it's still on HBO. I'm not sure. I know what they did is after the 3rd season and it didn't kind of wrap up, they came out with a Deadwood movie, which kind of wrapped up the entire series, which I thought was great. That way you weren't walking around going, what the hell happened to this guy? Or what happened with that situation? What happened? They wrapped it all up with the movie. Same people who are in the show were in the movie, which made it better. So that way you're not looking at, who's that guy? That's not the same guy. Very good show. A lot of cursing. So I would advise not letting your children watch it. They like to use the see you next Tuesday word like a comma in that show. Every other word is that word. Every other word, especially from Al Swearingen. I think that's the only adjective he knows to call somebody is that. Literally, every other word is that word. So don't let your kids watch it. Unless your kids are going to be Marines or sailors, then, it probably won't hurt because they'll be saying things worse than that once they get out there. But it's a really good show. You could watch the show and then watch the movie, and it will wrap the entire series up. And it's a great series. I liked it. It's violent. Again, it's taking place in the Wild West. There's shootings and stabbings, and you'll find out about the pigs and all that kind of stuff. It's really neat. I liked it. It's unfortunate it only went 3 seasons. They could have gone a lot further with it, but I am grateful that they had the movie. Like I said, kind of wrapped up the entire series, so nothing was left hanging. Deadwood on HBO and the movies on HBO. Great show. Now, I want to go to my all-time greatest show ever. I have rewatched this series 7 or 8 times, and I'll watch it again. It never gets boring. The acting is great. The storylines are great. I think the characters are awesome. Not that I can relate to these characters, because when I tell you what it is, you'll understand why, but you can just get on board with them. You can follow them. It's like, yeah, I can see why they want to do that. And it's realistic. It's not crazy. It's not like, they're superheroes trying to fight aliens or anything. They're everyday people doing everyday things. And at the end of the day, they're trying to support their family in the best way, the best way they know. My favorite all-time show of all time is The Sopranos. I have never seen a show come close to it. I don't care about Breaking Bad. I don't care about The Wire. I don't care about any of that. From the first episode to the last episode pissed me off. To the last episode, this show is the greatest. James Gandolfini was an incredible artist. You actually believed he was Tony Soprano. He took it in completely. There was never a question. Edie Falco as Camilla, you believed it. It was just that good. Their relationship on the screen was incredible. Then you had Dante Silvio, the excuse me, the consigliere for Tony, who gave him advice, who was also, I think, the guitar player for the E Street Band, Bruce Springsteen's band. I can't remember if he's the guitarist or the drummer, one of the two. He's a professional musician. And his wife in real life played his wife on the show. Then you had Uncle Junior, Chrissy. Paulie Walnuts was probably my favorite character of the whole show just because he was fucking insane. It was just great to watch him. The most annoying characters I had on the show that I mean, they still made the show good, but the ones I really didn't care about were AJ and his daughter. Can't remember her name. Meadow. I just really thought they were unnecessary in the show. I don't think they added anything necessary to it. I think they were kind of like in the background. But that's just my opinion. I think Dr. Melfi, the psychiatrist in the show, was great. I think that was another dynamic in the show that kind of added to the realism. And it really kind of showed you that Tony was not a good guy. I mean, he was a father and a husband, cheated on his wife all the time. I think he did care about his kids, but beyond that, I don't think he had any redeeming qualities as a human being. He was a murderer. He was a thief. And everything else you can think of that's associated with being in the mafia. Same thing with all the people in his crew, Paulie Walnuts, Silvio, Chrissy, and the other people that were with him, Uncle Junior, not good people. They would every once in a while do something redeeming or nice, but overall they were murderers and thieves and all sorts of other horrible things. But what was great about the show is that you empathize with them. I mean, Tony could be beating the shit out of somebody that owed him money, and he would talk about, taking food out of my mouth's kids, and you believe that's why he was beating the guy. Oh, he's doing it because he's trying to feed his family. The whole time he's doing it because he enjoyed it. He liked being a mobster. I don't think that ever was said or if it ever came out, but I got that impression. I think he thoroughly enjoyed being a mobster, and he thrived on it. I don't think he ever. I think the doctor asked him once if he ever felt bad about how he earned a living, and his answer was, "What do you mean?" I don't think he saw anything wrong with what he was doing, and if he did, it was flashes like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or maybe I shouldn't have done this." But overall, I don't think if he had the chance to get out and be like a used car salesman or something that would have made him just as much money as he was making in the mob, I don't think he would have done it. I think he has stayed in. I don't think he would have got out. And again, that's my interpretation of the show, but it's my all-time favorite show ever. Nothing comes in a close second. Breaking Bad was good, but it doesn't come close to The Sopranos. Game of Thrones was pretty good, doesn't come close. Deadwood, again, my second all-time favorite, but does not come close. Nothing that's been on the air since then has come close to The Sopranos. And again, I've watched the series, rewatched it from episode 1 to the last episode 7 or 8 times. And I never get bored. I just really, really like the show and I like the characters. So if you haven't checked it out, I think that's on HBO now too. Check it out. And there's also a movie, The Many Saints of Newark, which is based on The Sopranos that happened before The Sopranos started. So it was when Tony was younger, Chrissy was a baby, and everybody else was still a kid. Kind of leads up to The Sopranos. It's okay movie. It kind of answers some questions and ties up some loose ends, but many sense. You could watch, you don't have to watch that to enjoy the series. If you watch that, it kind of explains some of the series questions that you may have. So that's The Many Saints in Newark. And I think that's on HBO. But yeah. So that's my number one show. I know that's probably been keeping you up at night trying to figure out, hey, what is Seth's number one TV show of all time? Well, guess what? Now you know. And so I like I said, I just wanted to do this podcast like this because I needed a break from politics. I don't know about you. I talked a little bit about it in the breaking news, interesting news, and then I got off of it. Politics is not the end all be all. It's not. It should not be the driving force in your life. There are so many other important things that go on in your life that we put in the back seat because of politics. So we're at the time in the show where I do my opinion, and today's opinion is definitely based on the show today. So I will read it, and once again, if you don't like it, you don't have to like it. It's just my opinion. Life can't be all about politics. I mean, come on. There has to be room for truly important stuff like arguing with your spouse over who left the lights on, or deciding if that questionable gas station sushi is worth the gamble. It never is. Picture this. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. The sun is shining. Birds are chirping. Your coffee is hot. You're scrolling through X for 5 minutes of harmless news. Suddenly, boom, your timeline explodes. Someone posted a picture of their breakfast avocado toast, and then the replies are full-blown geopolitical crap. This is a cultural appropriation of Mexico. Actually, avocados are being weaponized by big ag to fund lizard people. No, it's proof the deep state controls produce prices. You just wanted to see if anybody else put hot sauce on their eggs, not to solve the crisis in the fruit aisle. And don't get me started on family dinners. Back in the day, holiday dinners were about dry turkey, passive-aggressive comments on Aunt Karen's new haircut, and debating whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It doesn't. Now, one mention of the economy, and suddenly Uncle Bob is explaining how tariffs work using salt and pepper shakers as visual aids, while Grandma quietly mutters, "I just wanted to talk about my new knitting pattern." By dessert, everybody's yelling and fighting about physical policy, and the pumpkin pie tastes just like regret. Even hobbies aren't safe anymore. You join a casual hiking group to escape the noise, get some fresh air, good views, and maybe spot a deer. Nope. Halfway up the trail, someone spots a government drone, actually a hawk, and the next 45 minutes becomes a seminar on surveillance states and the 5G mind control towers. You're just trying to get your steps in and enjoy nature, not conduct a citizen's audit of the sky. Sports used to be the ultimate refuge, like I said earlier. You'd scream at the TV over a bad call, high-five strangers at the bar, and forget the world existed for about 3 hours. Now, the national anthem is a debate trigger. The jersey sponsor is political lightning rod, and if your team wins, it's either proof the system is rigged or proof the system is rigged. Or just a moral victory against woke capitalism. Can't a guy just enjoy the game? Have a beer and sit with his friends? Politics matters. Can't say it doesn't. Voting matters. Staying informed matters. But if every single conversation, every single meme, every grocery run turns into a battlefield, we're all going to burn out faster than that one friend who doom scrolls until 3 a.m. and then wonders why they're anxious the next day. So here's my radical proposal for 2026. Let's declare some no political zones, like the dog park. Pure chaos of wagging tails and poop bags, zero room for filibusters. Or movie night, or date night. Unless the film is literally about Congress, keep the hot takes in your pocket. Maybe even breakfast. No discussing bills before noon. Just pancakes, syrup, and the sacred right to eat in blissful ignorance. Because life can't all be about politics. Sometimes it needs to be about laughing at how ridiculous we all are for thinking it has to be. Grab your non-political coffee, step away from the screen, and go pet a dog. Go sit with your spouse. Go play catch with your children. The Republic will survive without your real-time commentary on the latest outrage. If anyone tries to make petting a dog political, tell them the squirrels are watching and they're all voting third party. It can't all be about politics. Can't. Or you're going to burn out, you're going to go crazy, and you're going to end up losing your stuff. So step away from politics once in a while. Matter of fact, step away from it more than you step to it. Like I said, stay informed, know what's going on, be aware, but don't make it your day in, day out obsession. Don't make it something so important that you sacrifice what's important to know what's going on. Your family, your friends, your health, your sanity, your private time, anything. Don't sacrifice anything because those are important. That's what matters. Politics doesn't. You matter. Your family matters. That's what's important. That's why we do all the crazy stuff that we do in our lives, is to support our family and the people we love and be with our friends. If you didn't talk about politics again, your life would be just fine. If you never watched the news again, your life would be just great. If you stopped talking to your friends, or you stopped doing things with your family or doing things with your children, your life would suck immediately. It would be different and would be horrible. You got to put things in perspective. So thanks for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. Again, that was just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You can tell me to kick rocks or whatever it is you tell people you don't agree with. I want to thank Damon, the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain, keeping things running. I appreciate it. I definitely could not do it myself. I will try to be on Wednesday night at the Pulse. Again, things are kind of hectic for me now, and they will be for the foreseeable future. But I will promise I will do what I can. Definitely next Sunday, same bat time, same bat channel. And we'll talk about things that really aren't that important, like I just said. So everybody have a good evening. Have a good rest of your weekend. I hope you're ready for the grind. Again, don't take it too seriously. You're there to help your family. You're not there to help the corporation. Remember, your boss is your family. That's who you work for. Thanks for hanging out with me. If it was your first time, if you've been here before, again, I will see you Sunday, same time, same channel. Thanks, Damien Gallo, for his question. Again, anybody can post on the chat. You can ask whatever you want to ask me. That's fine. But everybody have a good evening. And remember, if you live your life based on principles and not a political party, you'll lead a pretty good life and leave something behind your family you can be proud of. Everybody have a good evening, and I will see you later.
Yo, all hands, hoist the colors high, heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Now some have died and some are alive, and others sail on the sea with the keys to the cage and the devil to pay. We lay to fiddler's grave.
Hearties, you've just weathered another bold voyage through the stormy seas of truth with the Conservative Corner podcast. Hoist your sails high and keep plundering the treasures of liberty, family values, and unyielding freedom. The winds of tyranny may howl fierce and furious, but true conservative buccaneers like you never surrender the ship. Stay fierce, stand fast, and chart your course for a stronger tomorrow. Fair winds and following sea.